Hi there to your viewers of Equinoxe Television. Welcome back from the new week. Thank you so much for being with us on this edition of the news. Right away, we begin with our major stories tonight. Tongues continue to wag as the Minister for Transport today suspends the sanctions on touristic transport agency whose bus recently had an accident in the north of Cameroon, killing at least 14 people. What caused the Minister for Public Transport to come back to his decision? We will be telling you more in this edition of the news. Plus, we will be taking you to, we tell you more in this edition on a lady in Nigeria who wins a marathon in cooking. The now highly celebrated Hilda Bassi gets into the Guinness Book of Records for cooking for over 80 hours non-stop. Stay with us, viewers, for details and more. Welcome from the weekend, viewers. We thank you so much for always being with us. We begin this edition of the news. Criticisms from Cameroonians compel the Minister for Public Transport to lift the 1-month suspension slammed on the touristic transport agency whose bus was involved in a ghastly road accident on the National Road number 1 that was on May 9. In a press release signed today, the minister asked the agency to resume its activities due to pleas from citizens upcoming major events and the agency's good conduct. Let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
The decision to lift the 1-month suspension on the touristic interurban transport agency by the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massenangale Bibehe, is contained in a press release he signed on Monday, May 15, 2023. This is coming after Cameroonians, including economic and political analysts, condemned the immediate sanction on the travel agency whose bus was involved in an accident on the National Road number 1 on May 9, claiming 15 lives.
Il faut que le ministère des Transports comprenne.
Mamadou Mota, a political actor, had said any suspension on the touristic travel agency would provoke more deaths in northern Cameroon in case of Boko Haram attacks because it is a main agency that people use to travel.
Vous imaginez? Il a résolu un problème où il en a créé.
Economic and political analyst Song Derrick had cited employment consequence with an adverse effect on the economy of the nation.
It is only running down or melting down the economy. If you are banning an agency for a month, you are making people to be temporarily unemployed.
In reaction, the Touristic Voyage Management released a communique pledging to ensure the ministerial sanction is revised, even though the Transport Ministry had insisted no agency is immune.
Il y a eu des compagnies de transport interurbains qui ont été suspendues à titre ferme.
On Monday, after reflecting on the suspension and criticisms from Cameroonians, the transport boss decided to allow Touristic Voyage to resume its transport activities across the country. According to Minister Jean-Ernest Massenangale Bibehe, his clemency stemmed from pleas for leniency from citizens and the League Consumers Association of Cameroon. Added to this, the fact that Touristic Voyage respects all the rules and regulations put in place by the Ministry for safe transport, regularization of the salary situation of the personnel, as well as their affiliation to the National Social Insurance Fund. The minister says he also acted considering the need to ease movements to northern Cameroon, especially as the Hajj, vacation and May 20 National Unity Day approach. The lifting of the suspension on Touristic Voyage therefore comes to quench the heated opinions and to relieve the populations who highly use the agency.
And now we continue to talk business. Business conflict resolution experts have advised parties to go for better or alternative dispute resolutions. They highlight several advantages of out-of-court settlements through arbitration, mediation, and conciliation. This was the focus of a one-day workshop which took place at the Chamber of Commerce in Douala today. Babila Jonathan was there. He now tells us more. Now we talk health. We will sure be coming back to that report in the course of this edition of the news. In health, the consumption of a drug banned by the Ministry of Public Health has killed at least 10 children in Cameroon. The last case of death related to the consumption of the drug Natucode cough medicine was yesterday in the city of Douala. Immaculate Fogwe has the details.
The death of an 11-month-old baby with suspected links to the consumption of the Nous cold syrup has left the parent in a state of distress. The baby, after consuming the product prescribed by a doctor of a private health facility, became very sick. He was immediately rushed to the Douala General Hospital, where the baby was diagnosed with kidney failure. After spending close to a week in the health facility, he gave up the ghost. The same Nous cold syrup is reported to have killed a total of 6 children below 5 years in a health facility in Fundang, Borough Division of the Northwest Region. According to the Northwest Regional Delegate of Public Health, Dr. Kingsley Cheso, the 6 children consumed what he qualified as a substandard cough syrup. He says they presented signs of decreased kidney function. Meanwhile, the Southwest Regional Delegate for Public Health, Dr. Eko Philbert, on March 9, 2023 said the drug is suspected to have caused the death of 3 children in the Tombe Health District. The Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malati, in a communique, sent his condolences to the bereaved families on April 19, 2023. Less than a month after assuring the population in the communique that appropriate measures have been taken to stop the circulation of the product, another case has been registered in the city of Douala.
And now on to this human interest story. One person has been beaten to death and another struggling with injuries in a hospital facility due to mob action by the population in Garwa in the north region of the country. The 2 were alleged members of a gang who attempted stealing from a uniformed officer before the population intervened. Smart Jikan Gabriel has the details.
An unusual atmosphere was witnessed at the Government Technical High School in Garwa over the weekend. On the ground, one person badly wounded, while another already killed by the population who took the law into their hands. Reports say the 2 were in a group of 3 that attacked a military as they tried to steal from him. Unfortunately, they were caught up by the population as explained by the commander of the Pumpumre Gendarmerie Brigade of Garwa. We were deployed by the Gendarmerie Operational Center, who informed us about a mob justice on some 2 individuals who tried to steal from a military man. As we arrived, we saw a man in a pool of blood and another who has been killed, while one successfully escaped. Immediately as we tried to take away the man who was bleeding, the population threw stones on our car as we tried to take him to the hospital. Elements of the Gendarmerie Brigade of Pumpumre in Garwa have opened investigation to catch up with the member of the suspected group still on the run, while the wounded man is receiving medical care at the regional hospital in Garwa.
From the north, we take you to the central region, where the poor state of the roads, lack of potable water and other social amenities are the problems faced by the local population of Ezeka. Ezeka is in the Nyong and Ikele division of the central region. These problems have been discussed during the council's budgetary session for the 2023 financial year. The discussions were made alongside the municipal councillors. Lucy Liengu Asia is our lady on that beat.
This is the current state of government bilingual primary school Ezeka in the Nyong and Kele division. The roofs were carried away by strong winds. The present condition has made learning and teaching process difficult. Aside this problem, poor road infrastructure, electricity failure, lack of potable water are also the challenges faced by the population. The aforementioned problems were discussed during the council's budgetary session, with the municipal councillors hoping to resolve the problem within the 2023 financial year.
And when you look around, you are going to see a major project. One is the March Pass place, that is just corner our place. You have places like hospital, schools that we are renovating. Also, we are giving access to drinkable water to our population. We are trying to make sure that all the areas in our council are accessible. And by the end, if we have means, we are going to see how we can give access to energy to our population.
On the table were discussions on other projects to develop and ameliorate the living condition of the population.
We are trying to build a farewell station for people that are traveling from Yaoundé, from Douala to Ezeka and vice versa. And we expect that the FECOM will be able to give us this financing so that by the end we see a very good and nice town. Also, we are planning in having a new structure, multi-sport structure around the permanent neighborhoods. And if we are able to do that, I'm sure that when people are going to get into Ezeka, they are going to see a different place to be.
The population have their fingers crossed while waiting for the implementation of these projects.
In other news, the proposed transitional government of national accord is not being given a green leaf by all political parties and actors in Cameroon. Political parties like the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the CRM, have distanced themselves from the initiative. The initiator, however, maintains that the transition is what Cameroon actually needs. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
The proposed transitional government of national accord is the brainchild of Professor Olivier Billet, national president of opposition Cameroon Democratic Front, the FDC political party. He says the initiative was motivated by the gravity of the current socio-political and security situation in Cameroon.
Alors écoutez, le Cameroun est confronté à une triple crise, qui est d'abord démocratique et institutionnelle.
Cameroon is rocked by a triple crisis, a democratic and an institutional crisis, a socio-economic crisis, as we can all see, manifested in the lack of potable water, the lack of electricity, bad roads, poor infrastructure, and a hike in the prices of goods and services, seen by everyone.
Qui est celle aujourd'hui du discours public, qui s'est enlisé dans les logiques de discours haineux, de haine et de détestation de l'autre.
Over and above all, there exists a unity crisis in Cameroon. This is manifested in the proliferation of hate speech and divisive tendencies. With the above, it is therefore absolutely necessary for Cameroon to engage a transition in the form of a transitional government.
De tous les enfants du Cameroun, du nord au sud et de l'est à l'ouest.
Hence, a transitional government of national accord which will have as role to restore Cameroon to Cameroonians.
Le fait que le Cameroun semble aujourd'hui appartenir seulement à une petite caste d'acteurs, à un petit groupe organisé depuis d'ailleurs les années 60, et donc il faut reconstruire le lien.
On the form, Professor Olivier Billet says this government will be composed of Cameroonians from the 10 regions and the 58 divisions through the currently existing political parties in the country.
Le gouvernement est pour mission essentielle.
This transitional government to be composed of Cameroonians from the north, south, east and west will have to rebuild a sense of oneness, love and unity among Cameroonians. Cameroon has to be refounded on the basis of love and refounded again.
Eh bien, le vivre ensemble d'hier soit retrouvé de manière encore plus puissante.
His initiative is, however, not being welcomed by all political parties in Cameroon, among which is the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the sharing political party of Professor Maurice Kamto.
The Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party is not aware of that kind of move, and I will see it more of distraction, you understand? We too are taken aback as we just hear, but I think we could call it distraction, we could call it a form of creating relevance.
The CRM, however, does not deny the necessity of a renaissance in Cameroon.
Our concern now is for people to get registered into the voters registry so that they prepare themselves ahead of future elections. And that's why you see most of our party militants are getting into the nooks and crannies of the towns and villages, of course, talking to would-be voters to join the bandwagon so that we can together take a firm stand to kick out the ruling party that is said to be at the center of the suffering. So,
Professor Olivier Billet, on his part, has continued to canvass for adherence, calling on political parties and leaders to visa his initiative with sole interest the survival of Cameroon.
And now let's talk about this extraordinary talent from Nigeria. Nigerian chef Hilda Basi breaks the Guinness Book of Records for marathon cooking. Hilda, the Nigerian jollof queen, started the competition on Thursday at about 4 p.m. by turning on her cooker, and she beat the current world record holder this Monday morning. She reportedly cooked for over 80 hours non-stop. Mala Glory with the details.
Nigerian chef Hilda Basi, popularly known as Hilda Basi, has broken the current Guinness World Record for the longest cooking marathon by an individual after clocking in at 87 hours 50 minutes. Hilda, the Nigerian jollof queen, started the competition on Thursday at 4 p.m. by turning on her cooker. She beat the current world record holder this Monday morning.
The biggest struggles I noticed was apparently when you take a break, because you get 5 minutes in after every completed 1 hour. So I sort of accumulated my breaks and I had 30 minutes.
If she is certified by World Records, she will top the current world recorder. Lata Tonton, an Indian chef who achieved the feat in 2019 with 87 hours, 45 minutes of record-breaking, uninterrupted cooking. Basi's cooking marathon is currently on the way in Lekki, Lagos State at Amuru Gardens, where she intends to set a new record of 96 hours. Nigerians, including several celebrities, defy the rain to physically cheer up the visibly tired chef in her ongoing record-breaking attempt.
And that was it for the first part of the news, viewers. Thank you so much for always being with us, but don't go away. Talking Points comes up in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Nancy. Today we'll be talking about the numerous women who have been victims of murder or kidnapped recently. We noticed on the news that at least one woman, has been killed on a daily basis in different towns of Cameroon. Why are women the targets? Why are women being killed? And why the silence of the society, especially the Ministry for Women's Empowerment and the Promotion of the Family, and why not other influencers of our society? Nancy, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest tonight. We want to find out, what's your take? Women have been killed, and most times the society and even our government is silent. What can account for that silence, and why the killing of women almost on a daily basis in major towns of Cameroon?
The years we've noticed that some women put to bed and dump their children or their babies. And after the research I made, I came up with 3 reasons why a woman will carry his or her baby for 9 months and then dump it after delivery. And the first reason I came up with was depression. When a woman is depressed, she does not think she's, and everybody, not only young women or women, when you're depressed, you don't think straight. And any idea that comes to your mind, you just want to do it. And the depression comes when you don't get support, maybe from your environment, or you don't get support from the author of the pregnancy. You become depressed and you don't know how to take care of this baby. The first thing that comes to your mind is to dump the baby. And when we see cases like this, they always leave notes like telling, oh, take care of this baby and stuff. You just feel like this is depression. They are depressed of the whole thing. And another one is deception. Deception from the author of the pregnancy. They might get pregnant and they tell the author, okay, I'm pregnant, and the person will say, I'm not responsible for this pregnancy. Go look for the father of this pregnancy. And they become disappointed. And the first thing that comes to their mind is, okay, I'm going to dump the baby because I cannot take care of it. I am an orphan, or my parents are poor, they're unable, they barely take care of me, how would they take care of the kids? So they start having this kind of ideas, and because of the disappointment, they dump their babies. And the third reason is peer pressure, because they want to leave, and this is always common with young people. like they feel like having a baby is a responsibility, and they will not live their life, the life that they merit. And that's what they'll tell you, my life that I merit is having fun. But now with this baby, is going to limit the way they interact with their own friends, and because they have a baby to take care. So I feel like these are the three reasons that we push a woman, especially young girls, to put to bed and dump their babies. It's because they're going through a lot. So this is like a mental breakdown that will make a woman.
Okay, thank you, Nancy, for redirecting the debate not only on women who are being killed, but also those who are being impregnated, and maybe the person who, the author of the pregnancy, abandoned the ladies. So there you were trying to give some reasons why some women abandon their babies. Now let's talk about education. Most of these women who abandon their babies, talking about women who abandoned their babies recently, we had so many cases across Cameroon. Talking about these women, can we also say that education is a factor? Because most of these women who abandon their babies, they have options like taking these babies to orphanages, or why not to the homes of some well-to-do persons, or even to the church. So should education also have a role to play?
Exactly. We need to reinforce education on parenthood, because even those who have kids don't have at some point don't have the capacity on how to orientate or educate their children, and some of them just abandon it in the hands of teachers and stuff like that. So I think we government needs to reinforce education on parenthood, so they know exactly what they are getting into. When you decide to start making babies, you need to know that I am responsible for this baby till this certain age, and we need to more sensitization to talk about these topics. It should not be a taboo, but parents should be aware that when immediately as you agree to start having babies, it is your responsibility to make sure that that child is growing up in a good atmosphere and in a good environment. It must not be plenty, but at least you have to start working towards that, so we don't have cases of women putting to bed and dumping their child. And sometimes we even see that the author of the pregnancy is okay with that decisions, even if it is not that rampant. You get, sometimes the authors are okay with the decisions, or sometimes the family are okay with the decisions. But now we need to be able to be responsible. I think parents, we need to reinforce parenthood education. And this is through sensitization at all levels, like be it in the hospital, on the street, on social media. I think this will reduce this baby dumping phenomena that we are currently facing now in our society.
And now, Nancy, besides education and sensitization, the society also has a role to play. Don't you think so?
All have a role to play. Society has a role to play to limit this kind of an act. And we need to be compassionate. I don't know if that's the right term. When we see young women that are pregnant, instead of blaming them or body shaming them, we should make them feel good about themselves. And this is it's going to be very hard at some point because of the mindset. It is difficult to change the mindset of individuals. So society has a role to play in that. We should be able to talk to these people and prepare them when they are pregnant. I think more parental coaching. I think that's at the level of the government, which is MINAS, Ministry of Social Affairs, to have organized like workshop, or maybe those in hospitals, public hospitals, to have like talks to prepare the mindset of these women and to tell them it's not going to be easy, but it's your baby and stuff like that, and support as well. Government can support women that don't have access to finance, because one of the key issue of women dumping their children is because they don't have enough funds to cater for the child. So that's why they decide to dump the baby. So if government can assist women that don't have enough funds to take care of their babies, this is going to help. And society should not body shame or should show compassion to these women, and then it can reduce, because some, like I said, why women may do this because they are depressed. So it's all about mental. That is why I'm proposing government to have like this kind of talks in hospital. They can organize in public hospitals to prepare these mothers, new mothers, of what is going to actually happen, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for your own contribution at ensuring that women no longer dump their babies. No matter the pressure they get from the society, there is always a better option. And viewers, we thank you so much for always being there. That does it for this edition of the news. But don't go away. As usual, our programs continue. The news in the French language comes up in about at 8 p.m. and about 30 minutes. Serge Alangoto will be in the studio for Equinoxe. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television and enjoy the rest of your week in the company of our programs. Bye-bye for now.